The speed at which SpaceX is running their operations is unmatched. I personally think these guys are running on some hypergolic propellants. If that's not it, then I do not know what it is. SpaceX successfully blasted 4 astronauts straight to the International Space Station and also preparing to return the 2 stranded astronauts which were left on the ISS. Falcon 9's team also achieved an incredible milestone of successfully landing an Orbital class rocket 400 times. Yeah, 400 times. That is mind-blowing. Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck also shared an intriguing insight in the development of the Neutron rocket. This and a lot of updates on Starship. My name is Ernest, and as usual, I'm your host on today's episode on Space Expense. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, kindly do so. I drop 2 new videos each week. They are all bangers, and trust me, you do not want to miss any of it. Let's dive right in, shall we?
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
SpaceX wasted no time at all after the first scrap of the Crew 10 launch and went to work fixing the hydraulic issue with the strong back, and they were ready to blast off this Crew 10 astronauts to the International Space Station. Here we can see the Dragon capsule arriving at the ISS, and I gotta say it was an incredible scene to watch. These 4 astronauts are going to be on the ISS doing some incredible work, and in the return of this mission, SpaceX is going to be preparing to return the 2 astronauts which were stranded on the International Space Station. The rumor until we had Elon Musk stated point blank that the Biden administration intentionally left these 2 astronauts stranded on the International Space Station. When President Trump took office, he directed SpaceX and Elon Musk to return these 2 astronauts back home. Also, the Falcon 9 team at SpaceX achieved an incredible milestone of successfully launching and landing 400 times of an Orbital class rocket. Just sit down, take a minute and let that sink in. 400 successfully landing off an Orbital class rocket is absolutely mind-blowing. It was first thought not to be possible to even consider landing an Orbital class rocket until SpaceX said, hold my beer. They went to work and they made this landing a history. SpaceX made this landing so common that nowadays we think it is just another Tuesday at work. In the past decades, it was thought not to be even possible. It would be deemed crazy to even suggest such a thing. We also got a close-up footage of the Part B's flame trench. Just look at how huge and how these guys are busy at work preparing this trench for flight. In no time at all, this flame trench will be ready to receive its concrete pouring. The speed at which SpaceX is building this infrastructure is mind-blowing. These guys are crazy. Now let's move from the launch site to the build site. Ship 37's nose cone and payload section has also emerged from the Star Factory, looking all beefy and all glorious, just missing a few tiles and headed directly for Mega Bay 2. The payload dispenser for Ship 37 has been sitting in Mega Bay 2 waiting for the nose cone to be installed. SpaceX is moving at an incredible pace. Ahead of IFT-9, Ship 35 has also returned from Mars, having undergone 3 cryo testing, and it took this test like a boss. I am hopeful and certain that by now SpaceX would have found the cause of IFT-7 and IFT-8's mishap and fix them. If IFT-9 results as the same way as IFT-7 and IFT-8, I am going to lose my mind, literally. Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck also shared an incredible insight on the progress of Neutron, and also an incredible dive into how game-changing Neutron's fairing is going to be. Let's hear him out.
The great thing about Neutron is that we took all the experiences that we had with Electron and rolled that into Neutron. So, a lot of launch vehicles historically have been appended with reusability. We got a blank sheet of paper to start from scratch to make a reusable launch vehicle the way it should be. And you end up with things like not throwing the fairings away and bringing them back down. Yeah, so the fairing stays attached to the vehicle at all times. It's about 6 seconds altogether, so the fairing opens in 1.5 seconds, and then there's a few seconds of the second stage being ejected from the first stage, and then there's about a 1.5 seconds for the fairing to close again, and then for us to tip over and head back home. Well, keeping the fairing means that it's much more efficient. You don't have to fish these things out of the ocean, which ultimately drives more cost. There's always a penalty for doing these things. You know, the first stage is slightly heavier coming in and re-entering, but it just means we don't have a refurbishment activity or a recovery activity, and the rocket basically lands exactly as it starts. Yeah, well, the advantage with the carbon composite is that it's very lightweight material. So, you know, it's half the weight of aluminum or 4 times lighter than stainless steel, so for the same specific strength. So it means you can make much lighter structures, and ultimately that translates into performance of the vehicle. So the rocket doesn't need to be as big to lift a larger payload. You look at Neutron, it looks quite different to normal launch vehicles. That's because it's optimized to do 2 jobs instead of 1 job. While the rocket has to go up, but equally well it has to come back down. So a lot of the design decisions are actually influenced by the re-entering rocket, the rocket coming down, rather than necessarily the rocket going up. If you don't have to throw away the fairings and recover them out of the ocean, or you don't have to build them or refurbish them, that's a huge advantage. So keeping everything intact that you don't want to throw away is a great idea. I mean, when a jumbo jet lands, it doesn't jettison its cargo doors. You know, it opens them, and then your cargo goes out, and then you close the doors. Same principle here.
Thank you for staying with us and watching to the end. If you enjoy this video, kindly subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so that you do not miss any of our updates. I drop 2 new videos each week. They are all bangers and you do not want to miss any of it. Watch this video right here. This was my recent upload, and I tell you, you don't want to miss it. And I will talk to all of you all in the next episode. Thank you for staying with us.